Chapter 911. Tiff's heart raced, and she honestly felt like she was going to pass out at any second. She gripped Wilbur's leg with one hand tightly, staring at him in disbelief. She could hardly find the words to describe this man, or how she was feeling now. Her mind was blown, and she stared at Wilbur in a daze. Over on Edward and Jesse's end, both men could hardly contain their shock and fury. Neither of them could believe the outcome, nor could they accept it. This uncultured bastard had won over and over again, humiliating them repeatedly as well. Sharon put an arm out, and two girls behind her stepped up to sort Wilbur's winnings at once. They each took $120 million of chips from Edward and Jesse, then passed them to Wilbur. Wilbur now had $360 million worth of chips. Edward and Jesse each had $380 million, making the gap between them pretty small. In a fit of immense rage, both men called out, "Small, all in." Sharon looked at Wilbur, who shrugged and said, "You guys are making a loss here, man. Why don't you bet less? You don't get to tell us what to do. You have to match our bets." Jesse practically growled. This was starting to make less sense by the second. Both men's psyches were also starting to be affected after losing over $200 million. They were starting to overstep the casino's rules. Each of them only had to bet half of what Wilbur bet every round. Yet their arrogant nature made them look down on Wilbur, and they refused to back down even if they were being unreasonable. Now, however, the two men were starting to act out of line after having lost so much money, making demands on Wilbur. Sharon frowned. The casino's rules are in place for a reason. You can bet less, but you can demand for the other party to bet more than you. Edward and Jesse flushed at those words but did not say anything to acknowledge their rudeness. Wilbur shrugged. "I don't want to take advantage of you either anyway." He took out his card, tossing it at Sharon. "I think I have a few $100 million in there. I'm sure I'll have enough to match your bet." Sharon was caught off guard. She had been in the industry for over a decade but had honestly never met a gambler this reckless. To tell the truth, Edward and Jesse had already lost in terms of mentality alone. It was just that they were too blinded with rage to see that. Sharon smiled, passing the card over to someone to verify the amount inside. She raised an eyebrow at the figure that popped up. "Well then, let's begin. Shake that fucking dice. There's no way every round's going to be big." "Yeah! There's no way. Go on." Both men glowered at Sharon, shouting viciously. Tiff was at a loss for words. What just happened? It was enough that Wilbur was using all the money he had just won on a bet, but now he was putting in hundreds of millions of his own money. What was he thinking? Tiff squeezed Wilbur's thigh in a panic, trying to get him to change his mind. Wilbur turned to her with a smile. "Wanna have this win go to you?" "Well, what?" Tiff stuttered. Wilbur smiled. "I'll pay up if I lose, but you'll take the money if you win. How's that?" Tiff almost lost all her ability to reason. Was he saying that he was going to hand her over $1 billion just like that? She would not be responsible if he were to lose, but she would have more than $1 billion if he were to win. Tiff shook her head at once and said in a feeble voice, "Please don't make jokes like that, Mr. Penn. My heart can't take it, you know." Wilbur chuckled. "All right then. Forget I said anything. Go on, Miss Taver."